Welcome to Alive and Well, the podcast for the new era of high achievers. You're done burning out, and you're ready to lead, work, and live in a rhythm that honors both your brilliance and your body. I'm your host, Michelle Grosser. I'm a trial attorney turned nervous system strategist, and I've lived the burnout story. I know what it's like to chase your goals at the expense of your well-being. And I also know it doesn't have to be that way. Here, we're redefining success. It's where productivity feels peaceful, boundaries feel like freedom, and energy comes from within. Each week, I'll share practical tools for nervous system regulation, time mastery, and somatic strategies so you can show up with clarity, calm, and confidence in every part of your life. Because you, my friend, were given a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So here's to life and living it fully. This is the path to feeling alive and well. Let's dive in. Hey, you are listening to Alive and Well. It's Michelle Grosser here. Today on the show, we're going to talk about high functioning anxiety. I think, at least in my experience with the women that I work with, this is one of the most common symptoms I see as far as nervous system dysregulation symptoms or symptoms of burnout. So I kind of want to start there today. What is high functioning anxiety? And then let's kind of jump into 6 habits that most of us do or are doing that are symptoms of high functioning anxiety. And then I want to give you guys some really practical handles, things you can start doing today to start to heal this pattern of anxiety. So let's start with what high functioning anxiety is. Most of the women I work with don't even realize that they're dealing with anxiety. They just think, it's part of their personality, or they're like, I'm just type A. I'm really driven. I'm an overachiever. I'm just wired this way. I'm a little bit, structured or rigid in the way I go about my life. But what's really happening under the surface? High functioning anxiety is a state of chronic nervous system dysregulation. And it happens when our body's stuck in a sympathetic activation. So that's the fight or flight response. It's not this full-blown panic attack. We're still functioning. We're still doing all the things. But under the surface, our nervous system's always kind of like buzzing, right? We're still going about our day-to-day. On the outside, people looking in might be like, dang, that girl's got it all together. Maybe even impressively so. But on the inside, you just don't feel like you're okay. And from a polyvagal lens, it's what we call a blended state. So basically, it's this mobilizing energy with a facade of regulation, right? We look regulated, but man, are those feet kicking under the surface of the water, right? Like that duck that's on top of the water looking cool, calm, and collected. And then under the water, they're like paddling like crazy. Our prefrontal cortex is online enough to perform, but our body is operating from survival mode. So it's kind of like we're driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. And over time, this wears on our health, and it wears on our hormones, and it can wear on our relationships and how we lead and our focus and all of the things. So let's go through 6 different habits that I see often coming up in people who run a pattern of high functioning anxiety. The first hidden habit is people pleasing. And this one is kind of sneaky because it's often praised, I think, by society, by culture, as being really kind, or, she's so selfless, or she's so generous, or she's so easy to work with, right? She always goes above and beyond. But chronic people pleasing is a classic fawn response. So when your nervous system detects some sort of threat, right? Oh man, like I might disappoint them. They might reject me. I don't want them to disapprove of me. And then bam, it sends us into this placating mode. When we say yes, when we mean no, right? When we take on too much, when we smile, even though we're feeling a lot of resentment coming through. This pattern usually starts way back, like way, way, way back, early childhood, right? If our nervous system learned that it was safer to keep everyone around us happy, or to do what they said, or to not complain or ask questions or push back or be the easy one or be the quiet one, especially if we were either parentified, so for whatever reason, we became the caregivers for our parents, or if we were really emotionally attuned, or maybe we were punished or ridiculed or criticized for having needs or for expressing our needs, it doesn't take long before that turns into a pattern of people pleasing. So if this is hitting for you, if this is resonating, what do? I would start with micro boundaries. So I tell my clients this, especially in a one-on-one capacity. I'm like, how could you safely disappoint someone this week, right? How could you safely disappoint someone? Practice disappointing people in low stakes situations. Where could you say no that your people pleasing part wants to say yes, right? Where could you decline to take on the extra project or work or classroom party or what have you, and risk potentially disappointing someone for the benefit of taking care of yourself, your body, your bandwidth, your family, really starting to rewire the belief that you have to do things for people or that you have to earn love through self-abandonment. And inside of Burnout Recovery Blueprint, we walk through this. We walk through how to set boundaries from a regulation first approach. So that is the first hidden habit. Maybe you find yourself getting caught up in people-pleasing tendencies. The second hidden habit is overthinking. If you are a worrier, an overthinker, an overplanner, a checklist aficionado, high functioning anxiety loves to disguise itself as preparedness. So if you run through every possible outcome and every worst case scenario, and maybe you think that if you just, think a little bit harder, you're going to find safety. But the nervous system doesn't regulate through thinking. If y'all have been here, you've heard me say this, right? We can't outthink a dysregulated nervous system. Our nervous system regulates through felt experience. When our nervous system is dysregulated, our amygdala, that's our alarm center in our brain, it becomes hyperactive and it's just scanning, right? Scanning for threats, scanning for things that could go wrong, scanning for things we might forget, scanning for worst case scenario, scanning for all these things when none of that bad stuff actually exists. Our prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that's responsible for logic and planning and reasoning, that actually gets overridden. So if this is you, and this tends to come up for you quite often, where you find yourself overthinking, overplanning, stuck in this constant worry loop, orient, right? Take yourself out of the future and all of the planning and bring yourself back where your feet are, back to the present. Orienting is one of the best ways that you can do that. How does it work? Look around your space where you're at. You can even do this right now as you're listening, and go through your senses, right? What are 5 things you can see? Can you name 4 things that you can touch? What are 3 you can hear? And let your body come back to where you are, locating yourself, right, in the present, in the now. And that can be a pathway back to that part of our brain, the executive functioning that we want to have access to and not be stuck in the planning, worrying, overthinking loops. Okay, so that's the second one. The third hidden habit is being over-prepared and running a pattern of perfectionism. So this might be you if, you reread the email 6 times before hitting send, right? Or you build the spreadsheet before you've even been asked to do so. Or you need to be 150% ready before taking any sort of risk. Why? Because your nervous system has learned to equate preparedness or over-preparedness with safety. And for so many of us, this usually stems from growing up in environments where mistakes were not tolerated. Maybe they were even punished. Maybe we were criticized for making mistakes. They certainly weren't encouraged. Maybe our performance was really tied to approval. So it was only when we did well or went above and beyond or got, 110 that anyone took note and loved on us and encouraged us. And then what happens then is that reinforces, right? And over preparation becomes a way for us to avoid being rejected or criticized or shamed. So if this rings true for you, if you tend to run a pattern of over preparing or perfectionism, again, kind of like, how can you disappoint someone safely this week? How can you fail safely this week, right? Let yourself try something without over perfecting. Can you start a new habit or practice something that you're not really great at, right? Can you pick up a new sport or a new hobby or learn how to play an instrument or go do something that you're not great at, and let yourself try for the sake of trying without having to be good at it. And then just observe your nervous system's reaction, right? Offer yourself co-regulation, not criticism, right? Encourage yourself. Let that internal language be regulating. And this is the work that actually expands your window of tolerance. It expands your capacity to hold more life without being sent into a stress response. So that was hidden habit number 3. Hidden habit number 4 is you might have difficulty expressing your needs. You might be the one who takes care of everyone else. You might be the one who holds it all together. And when someone asks you, hey, can I help you out? What do you need? You freeze, right? This was me for the longest time. It still can be me. If someone asks me how they can help or what I need, I feel like I freeze. I feel like, 1, I'm not comfortable expressing what I need or how they can help. 2, I don't want to burden them. 3, it feels like it's going to be more work to explain what I need or, arrange or coordinate how they're going to help me and what they're going to do. I don't even know how to answer. And it happens because expressing our needs requires a couple things. 1, we have to know what we need, right? That can be a challenge in and of itself. So many of us are so focused on meeting everyone else's needs that we've become completely disconnected and out of touch with what we need, right? Interoception. And then we also have to feel safe enough to express what we need. That is not easy. High functioning anxiety erodes both, right? It erodes our ability to know what we need and feeling safe enough to express the need. So what do? I would recommend that you guys begin reconnecting with your body's signals if this is true for you. So maybe you could even set a timer on your phone for a few times a day. And it could be a timer to just check in. What does my body need right now, right? Do I need to go to the bathroom? Maybe I've had to go pee for the last 2 hours, but I'm caught up in this project and I haven't even honored that cue that my body is sending, right? Do I need to eat? Is it 2 p.m. and I haven't even had anything to put in my stomach yet today? Do I need rest? Do I need connection with someone else? Do I need support? You can't express a need that you don't know is there, right? That you can't feel or sense. So starting to learn how to reconnect with your body's signals can be a really powerful way on the journey, a part of the path of the journey, for expressing your needs, learning what they are so then you can express them. Okay. And then hidden habit number 5, hypervigilance. Are you always scanning, right? Scanning your inbox, scanning your boss's tone, your coworker's tone, your partner's tone, your kid's tone, your kids' moods, your team's energy. You're just always scanning and taking it all in. And it's usually not conscious, but it is constant. You're just bracing. And it's probably because your nervous system is tracking, right? It's tracking for a threat. It's trying to predict and prevent worst case scenarios so you can, be one step ahead and keep everyone happy and meet their needs and do all the things you need to do. And it's often a trauma response, especially if unpredictability was a part of your upbringing. So if you, for whatever reason, felt as a kid like you were walking on eggshells or waiting for the other shoe to drop, or you had a parent who was unpredictable and like you didn't know what mood you were going to catch them in, or you didn't know, if you were going to catch them sober or not, or, whatever it was, it would make sense now as an adult that you are always scanning. What can you do to start working through this habit? Practice letting something drop. Low stakes, right? Low stakes ball. What one low stakes ball can you allow to fall this week? Maybe you don't have to respond immediately when a text comes through. Maybe you don't have to reply at all to something that someone puts in a group chat, right? Maybe you can wait until you finish whatever it is you're working on before you respond to the email. And then just notice, right? Did anyone die? No. Use that evidence to slowly rebuild safety. And then the last habit I want to go through with you guys today is it's kind of like a sequence, this cycle of procrastination followed by a bunch of hustle. And then we procrastinate and then we got to hustle. And then we procrastinate and then we got to hustle. So we avoid the task and then we're sprinting toward the deadline. Procrastination is not laziness. I cannot overemphasize that. If you struggle with procrastination, that's a nervous system state. It is not your lack of discipline or willpower or motivation or what have you. It's a freeze response, likely a freeze response. Your nervous system probably feels unsafe, or it dreads what you're going to do, or it doesn't think you have enough time to do it, or it thinks that you're going to get criticism for doing it, or you don't know how to do it, or what have you. So what does your nervous system do? Bam, shut down, stall, right? And then what happens? Time keeps moving and the deadline is looming and the pressure spikes our adrenaline enough until we can finally be pushed into action and we move. And it's the survival loop. So what do? Okay, this is what I think we should do. Gently engage your body before the task. Move your body. Get out of your head and get into your body when you notice procrastination, feelings of procrastination coming up. Go for a walk, probably the best thing you can do, but any kind of movement, right? Shaking, put on a song, dance, move your body, do some heel drops, humming even, right? Humming, singing, activating your vagus nerve. That will help shift you into a mobilized state. So you're going to move from being stuck and frozen into a state of mobilization. And in Burnout Recovery Blueprint, we really help you map your particular energy patterns so that you can work with your nervous system, depending on what, if you tend to be higher energy or lower energy, instead of against it, and have a handful of somatic practices that really help if you're someone who tends to experience patterns of procrastination. Okay. So those are the 6 hidden habits of high functioning anxiety that I have for you today. So maybe some of these landed, maybe most of them or all of them landed. People pleasing, overthinking, over preparing, difficulty expressing your needs, hypervigilance, and then this cycle of procrastination and hustle. And if these landed for you, again, I just want to remind you that high functioning anxiety, doing these things, it isn't actually part of your personality, right? It's how you've become wired, but it's not how you were wired. There's a distinction there, right? This is a pattern and it's just rooted in protection. It's not meant to be permanent. You can actually learn how to regulate, how to come back down to baseline stress level, to a place that feels safe. So you don't have to be running these patterns under the surface, and you can actually move through life with so much less fear and so much more freedom. And inside of Burnout Recovery Blueprint, I teach you the exact tools that help you break free from these habits and really reclaim your energy and your presence and your peace. Because the truth is that your nervous system, it really doesn't need more pressure, right? It just needs permission to exhale and back down and then feel safe. All right. Thanks for being with me today. I love y'all so much. I'll talk to you guys soon.
If you love Mommy's Podcast, leave a review.
Thanks for listening to Alive and Well. If today's episode resonated, would you do me a favor? Take 30 seconds and leave a 5-star rating and short review. It really helps to get this show out to other people just like you who could also use the information in this podcast. And if you're ready to take the next step in regulating your nervous system, download my free Nervous System Reset Guide. It's linked right in the show notes. Inside, you'll find simple, body-based practices to help you feel more clear, calm, and connected starting today. Make sure you're following the show so you don't miss out on what's coming next, because you were made to thrive. Fully alive, fully present, and fully well. I'll see you soon.